guys, it's my dopamine again. I'm gonna be doing another quick reading before bed tonight. Got a really important job interview in the morning, so I figure this will help me to relax a little bit. I wanted to read some out of Where Have All the Flowers Gone by Barbara Bragoff. Um, she apparently is a writer, a real small writer that wrote a couple books about the war. She's Polish, and she likes to talk about the war because she feels that it's an important story to tell, so people don't forget about what others went through back in that time. So, here we go. Chapter 1. Mother, please don't let them take me. I don't want to leave you. Please, I love you. These are the last words I ever heard my little girl say. It is 1939, Krakow, Poland. The war has been going on for 6 months. The Nazis have taken control of our town. Every day, neighbors, friends, whole families just disappear. I won't let my Irena become a casualty of war. I had to find her a safe place, a Christian family who would be willing to raise a small Jewish girl as one of their own. I pray to God I've done the right thing. The Nazis came in the night like the devils they are. There was a knock on the door. By the time I had gotten up, they had already broken it off the hinges. Splintered wood was strewn across the kitchen floor, their high black boots grinding into the new wax. They yelled and cursed, calling us Jewish pigs. The gold swastikas on their uniforms glowed in the candlelight. Get into the truck, they commanded. To disobey would mean certain death, so we did as we were told. The night was cold and damp, just a sliver of a moon shone in the sky. As my husband and I climbed into the truck, we could smell the smoke of many fires burning in the villages. We heard the screams of men, women, and children as they were beaten for not moving fast enough to please the Nazi soldiers. Raymond and I were 2 of 23 people, crowded into the back of that truck. There was no room to stand, let alone sit down. No one said a word. No one had to. The red eyes, bleeding lips, and groans told the story. As the truck started to pull away, the smell of diesel fuel was so heavy I felt like vomiting. I had no idea where they were taking us, or if we would ever see our Irene again. I can't believe it. She let them take me, my own mother. These people had come to our home once before. Mother made me dress in my very best dress. She told me to use my manners and be sure to say, yes ma'am, no ma'am, please, and